Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you? Hello, 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 hello. This is Elkie of Savvy Moms Unite, where I teach moms. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Where I teach moms how to live a practical, simple, realistic life. I am the CEO and founder of this company. My focus is primarily on career transitions and financial planning, but I've been a single mom for many years, and I've learned some things along the way. So I like to pass those things on to other single parents. Hello, hello, hello. So I co-parent with my daughter's father for many years, and I won't say we were the best at it. We struggled a lot in the beginning because there was a lot of we ended our relationship in not in the best way. It wasn't like, some tragic end, but it wasn't ended in the best way. And so it left a lot of things up in the air. Communication was very poor for many years. And there was a lot of things we were dealing with that had to be dealt with, that had to be destroyed and removed from the communication so that we can move forward. So, in my experience with my daughter's 10 years old, actually, she'll be 10 in December. And so, in those years of trying to get to a successful co parenting situation, there were some things that I had to deal with and learn from. And I wanted to pass on to other moms because co parenting is not easy. I don't say it's going to happen overnight. It may take years, it may take months. If you're really willing to work on it, both you and the other parent, it could take a shortest time. It's just you both have to first be in that mindset of wanting to work it out. So for the betterment of your kids, because if they're at the forefront of your communication and what you want to deal with, you can be successful at this. But if you're going to let your personal impact how you operate with your children, then it will not be successful and you will hurt yourselves and your child in the midst of this. So, 5 ways. The first way is you have to deal with your hurt. You have to deal with the pain and the loss of this relationship. You have to go through those emotions. You have to deal with it's almost like you're mourning. You've ended a relationship, especially if you've been together for a long time. You've ended a relationship that was a part of your life for a significant amount of time. And now you have to put that aside and now deal with parenting. That's tough. It's hard to do, so you need to deal with it. If you have to communicate with each other about what happened so that you could just say, okay, that was in the past, it's done with, we've moved on. Let's just never bring it up in our conversations. We don't need to. It's not a big major part of how we're going to operate. So let's just deal with whatever. We apologize for the things that we've both done because that's what me and my daughter's father had to do. We had a session where we both went through the hurt and we apologized for the things we did because I was so busy blaming him for everything. And there was a lot of things he did wrong. Don't get me wrong. There was a lot of things where he was wrong. But I did some things that I had to apologize for. And I had to take a step back and say, okay, how do we move forward? How do we talk to each other in a respectful way so we can both be on the same page when we speak to each other on the phone or in person? So that I'm not looking at you sideways when you're speaking to me and you're not looking at me like, yeah, whatever. We both have established that we're going to speak to each other in a respectful manner all times in front of our kids and when our kids are not around. All right? So deal with that. 2, create boundaries. Unless there's, reconciliation going on, you should not be speaking on anything outside of your children. Your children should be the topic of conversations when you speak on the phone, when you speak in person. They need to be at the forefront of it because the minute it starts going into gray areas, it's when you're starting to confuse the situation and now you're dealing with stuff you never thought you'd be dealing with. So once you've gotten the baggage out and the stuff of the past out, now the boundaries need to be created. Okay, what are we going to talk about? How often will we speak? You need to establish that. Are you going to speak once a week? Are you going to speak as often as the kids go back and forth? And, custody situations are so different. So it might require more frequent interactions. And if that's what's going to happen, you still need to create those boundaries when it comes to certain topics you're going to speak on. It really should be about your kids' needs, their wants and desires, and your future aspirations for them, the things that you'd like to see happen in their lives. It really should be around that. It's hard to do, but you can do it. 3, you have to establish trust. There has to be trust between you and this other person. You're saying, if you were willing to have a kid with this person, then at some point you have to trust that they're going to be a good parent. And some people, some parents are not fit. If that's been established, then of course, keep your distance. But if it's a healthy person, healthy mind, sound mind, and the only issue is that you and the person had a problem, you need to trust them. You need to trust that they're going to be there for your kid and take care of your kid in the best way. So how do you establish that trust? You're going to have to allow them to make some decisions when you're not there. And you're going to have to trust that they're going to look out for the best interest of the child. If there's signs that they're not, then you deal with it. And you deal with it on the spot. And you talk about it, and you address those concerns. So if they're letting the kids stay up too late, and you've already established they need to be in bed by a certain time because they want to be, buddy and not the parent, then yes, you need to have a conversation. But if they're not doing anything to kill that kid, you're just going to have to let your stuff go. They may not do things in the exact same way you do, and that's fine. They're with a different parent now. So you're going to have to be okay with certain things that they're going to do versus what you might be doing with your child. 4, create a shared and agreed upon rules that you and this other parent, the father, whichever, the other parent have established that y'all both are going to follow through on. So if it's bedtime, if it's meal time, if it's when they do homework, if it's when they do certain recreational activities, you both have to have agreed upon rules that you say both, okay, this is what we're both going to establish, and this is what we're going to say if our kids ask us different questions. Because kids are going to play you. They will try to play you against each other because they want what they want, So they're going to come to mommy and say, oh, mommy, daddy said I could do this. If y'all didn't agree to that, then you got to discuss that. But there needs to be some agreed upon shared rule that you both have established with each other. And if it can't, and like I said, communication is key through all this. If the communication is broken down, none of this matters. And if it's so bad, you need to you need to get a mediator involved so that you can maintain communication, because it's key. Communication around school functions and attendance. So schools need to have something on record about correspondence and communication. There shouldn't be any confusion on the school's end who gets called when certain things happen, who shows up when certain things happen. You both need to establish, okay, certain things we're both going to be there, and we know we're both going to be there. If there's a chance where one can't be there, then the other shows up and communicates back to that parent what was said in those meetings. That can only happen with trust and dealing with past stuff, right? You're going to have to know, okay, if dad shows up and he met with the teacher for whatever reason, dad needs to come back to mom and say, okay, what did this teacher say? What do I need to be aware of? Communication should be with both of you, especially if the kid's not living in the same home. They're living in separate homes. There needs to be established communication with the school, who they should be speaking to regarding certain things. You shouldn't be in the dark. You should not be finding out stuff later on. You should be well aware of what's going on, just like the other parent, because that's the only way how it's going to be. You're going to be successful parenting this child, even though you're in a separate situation, right? So these are things that I had to do. These were things that I learned along the way. These were things I even saw other single parents go through. I worked at a school for many years, and we had various single parent situations or divorce situations. And it was, it was really hard sometimes on the school's end to figure out who was communicating what. I mean, it was tuition-based school. So there was times where one parent can't even know about the money being paid to the school, because it was that strict. So you've got to make that clear with the school, what communication, what is appropriate to speak to the parent about, and what needs to be established. And you need to establish that as the two parents and communicate that, because your kids suffer. I saw my own kids suffer with the absence of her dad because we were not communicating. I saw other children suffer because the communication between the parents was so terrible, and it impacted the kids' performance in school. It impacted them socially. They were going to counseling. I didn't want any of that for my kids. So I made it very clear with her father, we are going to have to get on the same page at some point. And it means me putting my feelings aside and my hurt aside to deal with us and let us co-parent her. And it led to many years of being really good parents to her, even though we were living in separate homes for years. So, yeah, you gotta have to put your big girl panties on for this one because it's hard. I know. And I'm not saying every situation is the same. There's crazy situations where the parent can't be involved at all, and you're just gonna have to go it alone. And I understand that. I understand that part, and I get it. But there's situations where the father should be involved because it's important for that child to see the other parent in their life, because you don't want to deal with later on your child regretting and actually resenting you because you didn't establish clear communication with their parent, and it led to them not being active in their life. So you don't shoulder all the responsibility, but you may have to be a little bit of the coordinator in this to make this happen, and it's what it is. So I hope this was helpful. I hope this got you thinking about, what is your future goals when it comes to your co-parenting situation. Pray on it. I had to pray on my situation because I was really I was in a state of hate. And I say that, and that's not a good Christian thing to say. It's not. But I did have hate in my heart. I had to pray on that because it was really bad for a while. And me dealing with my own pain, my own situation outside of that relationship led to me being a better parent and a better co-parent because I had to deal with my own stuff in order to get to a place where I can have my daughter's father be active in her life. And it changed the dynamic in a big way. So hope this finds you well. If you want to follow me, I'm on Instagram, Savvy Mom Elkie. I'm here on Twitter, Savvy Mom Elkie as well. I also have a Facebook group called Savvy Moms Unite, where I teach moms to live a practical, simple, realistic life. I have my website, SavvyMomsUnite.com, with more information on my company and what I offer. So I look forward to hearing from you. God bless. Have a wonderful day.